Okay, welcome back. Let's get started. What we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce kind of the topic of negotiation. And to do that, we're going to look at some questions meant to kind of make us think a bit about negotiation and think about what we already know about this topic. So, let's begin by looking at some questions. And I will add that after I finish reading these questions, you're welcome to pause this video and write down your answers to these questions. You may be interested in doing that. Okay, when you hear the word negotiation, what do you think of? Maybe you had an experience where you engaged in negotiation. Maybe you are familiar with some kind of negotiation. When do people negotiate? So, are there certain situations where people negotiate? Have you witnessed a negotiation? Who negotiates? So, who are the people that take part in negotiations? And finally, does negotiation make you think of specific jobs or situations? So again, you're welcome to pause the video here, write down your answers to these questions, but let's continue on in this slide. So what I'd like to do now is introduce two prompts, and these are connected to two situations, and I'll read them both, and kind of just, again, this is just designed to get us thinking about the topic of negotiation. So the first prompt, is this a negotiation? The President of the United States of America and the Canadian Prime Minister discuss a possible trade deal. After 2 months of demands, compromise, and discussions, they reached an agreement. It sounds like a negotiation to me. What about this? Tim had 6 chocolates, and Sally had 2 sandwiches. They talked about what they were willing to give up and what they each wanted. In the end, Tim gave Sally 3 chocolates, and Sally gave Tim 1 of her sandwiches. They were both very happy and satisfied. Is this a negotiation? Yeah, this sounds like a negotiation to me too. Okay, so I think maybe what we can kind of conclude from this is negotiations can look very different. It occurs in a lot of different contexts and situations. And probably, if you did pause the video and you wrote down some answers to these questions that we introduced, you've come to the similar conclusion that, negotiation, it covers a lot of territory. Well, let's get into kind of a more specific definition of the topic. So, negotiation. Okay, a negotiation is a discussion between sides or people that is focused on making an agreement or a transaction. From presidents and prime ministers to children in a schoolyard, we all engage in negotiation. When do people negotiate? Typically, people negotiate when they need or want something. And negotiation means that the side involved happens to be looking for some cooperation and agreement to be successful in the negotiation. What are some common jobs that involve negotiation? Business person, politician, lawyer, sales representative, real estate broker, CEO, and purchasing agent. There are many more. Well, since negotiation is so common and so important, it's important that we learn some key language and vocabulary that will help us understand negotiation and how to negotiate in English. So let's get started and look at the next slide. In terms of useful vocabulary, let's get started. We have a list here. They are in bold. And what I'd also like you to think about doing here is to maybe write down these keywords after we're finished, introduce these new vocabulary terms, and then kind of see if you can't remember the definitions after we've talked about them. For now, let me just introduce them to you. So the first one here is negotiate. So this is a verb, and an example of use might be, I negotiated a big deal. The second word here is negotiation, and this is the noun form, and an example of use is, The negotiation took 3 days. Okay, next. So these are some collocations. These are some words that often occur with negotiations or on sometimes in the front of this word negotiation, sometimes following it. So the first one is engage in negotiations. This just means to start or to take part in negotiations. The next one here, right here, is intense negotiations. This means the negotiation is it's very stressful and maybe not easygoing, not relaxed. Resume negotiations. This means the negotiations have started again, so there must have been a reason for them to stop. Maybe they took a break, maybe they got angry, but for some reason they stopped, and now they're going to start negotiating again. Next one, commenced negotiations. This means they are starting the process of negotiating. Commenced negotiations right there. Next one, began negotiations or begin negotiations. Again, this is like commenced negotiations, just another way of saying it. Completed negotiations. Here they are finishing the process of negotiating something. Similarly, we have finished negotiations. Again, same idea as completed negotiations. Likewise, ended negotiations. All of these three examples here, they're describing the kind of final step in a negotiation process. This one, negotiations broke down or break down. This is kind of describing when a negotiation fails. Negotiations faltered. Again, similar to a breakdown. They're stopping for some reason. Some problem occurred. Maybe they couldn't agree. Negotiations failed. Again, these are all similar examples. And then finally, negotiation succeeded. So if a negotiation succeeds, it means it was successful. They were able to reach a deal, come to some agreement. Next, we have the word party or parties. Now, this is not what you're thinking. It does not involve any good times music or anything like that. This word here describes the sides in a negotiation. So maybe a standard negotiation might have two sides, and in that case, we could say it has two parties. Next is perspective. So perspective, this is the viewpoint of someone or one of the parties in a negotiation. Next, we have the word concerns. These are the things that one side wants or is worried about during a negotiation. Next is agreement. This is the act of agreeing or coming to a mutual understanding about something. So often after a negotiation occurs, the sides might come to an agreement and then they have an agreement. This is the successful outcome of the negotiation itself. And last, here we have the word deal. And yeah, this is an agreement, and often it can be related to trade issues. We see it quite a bit. Maybe you've heard of the NAFTA deal or North American Free Trade Agreement. That's just one example. Okay, let's move on to the next slide here. So this is a close activity. So there are some sentences here and some blanks. And if you'll notice up here, there's a word bank. And in the word bank, there's some different words. Hey, words that we just looked at. And what you are going to do is you're going to decide which of these words go on the appropriate blank. So first, I'll just read the words to you. Negotiate, negotiation or deal, parties, perspective, concerns, agreement. And I'll just read through the sentences for you, and then I'll just give you a moment to pause the video and complete the close activity. Number one, all blank agreed. Number two, please try to see it from my blank. Number three, you can't blank with her. Number four, I have some blank about what you are asking for. Number five, the blank was successful. And number six, Our blank remains solid. So again, you can pause the video here. What I'm going to do now is just continue on, and I will reveal the answers to this close activity. So if you would not like to see that now, you should pause the video. Okay, the answers are number one, all parties agreed. So again, parties means the people taking part in the negotiation. So the correct word here is parties. Number two, please try to see it from my perspective. So from my viewpoint, please try to think about what I need, not just what you need. Number three, you can't negotiate with her. So maybe this person is a very tough person to negotiate with, or maybe this person is too tough. Maybe they have unreasonable demands. It's not really clear, but we know that the person speaking seems to think that this person is difficult to negotiate with. Actually, impossible, since they said can't. Number four, I have some concerns about what you're asking for. So some worries, some problems, okay? Number five, the negotiation was successful. And you could also put the word deal here. That's fine as well. The deal was successful. The negotiation was successful. Number six, our agreement remains solid. Again, agreement often kind of talks about the successful outcome. Okay, let's continue on. So let's introduce a few more vocabulary terms here. And again, I would encourage you to perhaps pause this video after I'm finished introducing these vocabulary terms. Maybe write down the terms and then see if you can remember the definitions, okay? The first word is rapport. Now I know that there's a T at the end, but typically we don't say the T. So let me pronounce that one more time for you. Rapport. So rapport is the connection and closeness between two people. It's really important in negotiation that the people engaged in negotiation kind of have some positive feelings towards each other. It can be very helpful. Next word is decline. This is to refuse or reject something. And we can use this to talk about declining an offer during a negotiation or declining a proposal. The next word is accept. And this is kind of a counterpoint to decline. And here it's to agree or take something. So you accept an offer. You accept a proposal. So you're happy with it. The next word, offer. What one side suggests in a negotiation. So maybe you offer something as a possible way to find a compromise during your deal. A counteroffer, how you respond to an offer when you want to adjust it. You want to change it. So you hear the offer, you're not 100% happy with it, so you have a counteroffer. This is your opportunity to tell them what you are proposing. Next, sacrifice. So this is something that you give up for another purpose. So you have something, it has value, but you think, I'm willing to not have this anymore if I can get something else. Next, raise. So this is to increase something. And one common example related to negotiation is a raise in pay. So many of us, we've had jobs before, and we may be in a situation where we try to negotiate for a raise in pay from our employer. The last word here is sum. And you'll notice that this is S-U-M. This is the total, often a total amount of money. Again, an amount of money. Okay, on to the next activity here. Again, we have a close. So I will read this for you, and then I would like you to maybe think about which words can be best placed in these blanks. And after I'm finished reading it, you may want to pause the video so that you have enough time to find your answers. Okay, I'm going to start. When you negotiate with others, it is often a good idea to establish good blank by being friendly. A good relationship will help you to find ways to work together. you may find that you are more willing to make blank. That is, give up something that you want in order to achieve a deal. Don't blank all of their offers. This can make you appear too negative. Don't blank all of their offers either. This can make you appear too weak. Try to think of all of the various parts of your deal. You know, the big picture. The blank of its parts. If it is a good deal for you and a good deal for the other person, chances are you will have an easier time working together in the future. Think before you blank the pressure on someone. They just may return the favor and increase the pressure on you. Just as a strategy note here, it's important to read not only the sentences with the blanks, but also the sentence before and the sentence after. Sometimes it gives you important information about what the best word is. So I would encourage you to pause the video here and complete the close activity. And if you would like a big hint with regard to what words should go on the blanks, they were covered in the previous slide. Okay, I'm going to move forward with the next slide. So these are the answers to this close activity. When you negotiate with others, it is often a good idea to establish good rapport by being friendly. Again, rapport, that's the positive relationship or feeling you have between another person or with another person. A good relationship will help you find ways to work together. You may find that they are more willing to make sacrifices, to give up things because they have a good relationship with you. That is, give up something that they want in order to achieve a deal. And again, the sentence following here kind of gives you the hint that it's sacrifices. Don't decline all of their offers. This can make you appear too negative. And again, the word negative here, too negative, is the hint that it is decline here. Don't accept all of their offers either. This can make you appear too weak. Again, accept, the hint for that here is too weak, if you are too accepting of their offers. Try to think of all of the various parts of your deal. You know, the big picture. The sum of its parts. Again, the total of the different parts of the deal. If it is a good deal for you and a good deal for the other person, chances are you will have an easier time working together in the future. Think before you raise the pressure on someone. So this is the idea of increasing the pressure on someone. They just may return the favor and increase the pressure on you. Okay, so this concludes kind of the introduction to the key vocabulary for this lesson. So if you need to watch it again, you can go ahead and review it. And what I'd like you to do now is maybe just start the next video whenever you're ready. Okay, thank you. See you in a second.